Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. When you talk about this movie, the first thing anyone really thinks of is Chadwick Boseman, and there's a lot more going on to this movie than just Chadwick Boseman. However, he always does an amazing performance. I don't think I've ever seen him not give an amazing performance, but there is more to this film than just Chadwick Boseman. But it is his final performance in a film. I believe he did a voice performance for the What If cartoon. And he gives an amazingly great performance as his final performance, which rarely ever happens to the degree that he got to do here. The other thing is this is based on an August Wilson play of the same name. It's actually a pretty significant play for him because it is the first one of his to go on Broadway. It's not his first play, but it is his first one to go on Broadway. And it is part of what's called the Pittsburgh Cycle, which is a 10 plays that were produced that show the Black experience through the 20th century. Each play takes place in a different decade. This is the 1920s. You're probably thinking it does not take place in Pittsburgh, and I don't really think anyone even mentions Pittsburgh. I don't know why it's called that, but I'm assuming because August Wilson is from Pittsburgh, but from what I read, it's part of it, so whatever. I don't know. That's what he calls it. And this was filmed in Pittsburgh. I'm assuming it's a tribute to him to take advantage of their tax breaks, but also I'm assuming because Pittsburgh was so important to him. And it's part of Denzel Washington, who produced this and produced and directed Fences, which was also an August Wilson play turned into a film. He's on a mission to take each one of the plays in the Pittsburgh Cycle and make them into movies, and he has a deal with Netflix to actually currently do that, which was originally on HBO, transferred to Netflix, and there we are. So we have 2 of them. We will definitely be getting 8 more, especially with someone who has as much power as Denzel Washington. I'm assuming that will happen. This movie is about a recording session that's happening in the 1920s with Ma Rainey and her band, who are going to play such songs as Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and a couple others. Basically, the whole movie takes place at this recording session. Everything that happens, all the drama with the band, with her arguing with the record label and her manager, making them get her a Coca-Cola, making them make sure like she has her nephew who stutters do the intro despite it taking so long, making them pay her fairly. At the same time, you have the band with Chadwick Boseman's character of Levy, who's kind of the younger upstart trumpet player who thinks he's going to be a big star and write all sorts of songs and have his own band, with a bunch of older musicians played by Coleman Domingo, who's really great. I think I usually like him in everything, but seeing him in this, I was like, I should really appreciate him more. Glenn Turman and Michael Potts, who make up the band, who are mostly older musicians, and Levy, who's younger, played by Chadwick Boseman. There's kind of some friction there. He sort of wants to take more reign over the band, even though it is Ma Rainey's band, and they're sort of touring and doing well and all those things, but they came there to record a record in this recording session. I think one of the things about this and Fences is movies and the theater had much more of a shared history in classic Hollywood. We really don't anymore. That's kind of just the natural evolution of things. In terms of movies are very influenced a lot, honestly, by all of the entertainment that's outside of movies. You see that from, theater to television to comic books to video games and so forth and so on, and it's an ongoing thing that never stops until movies do, I guess. But the theater used to be much more influential on cinema, and currently it is not. The idea of this is old-fashioned, but the way George C. Wolfe directs this film gives it a lot more energy than I think a lot of people would, especially because when you hear about someone like really loving August Wilson and wanting to present all these plays and so forth and so on, you'd think they would be more 100% respectful. I'm not saying he's disrespectful, but almost like to a degree that it really hinders the film. I don't think that's what George C. Wolfe did. I think he actually does a better job and gives this film a lot of energy. Now, this play and the material has a certain energy to it. The only other production and film I've seen of August Wilson stuff is Denzel's Fences. I like the direction more in this, but again, I feel like they're very different source materials, so maybe, Denzel would have directed this better and George C. Wolfe would have directed Fences, but I don't really know, but it's sort of a weird comparison to even do that. But I do feel like he gave a lot of energy to it. This film felt very alive, and it got that it was a play as much as it got that it was a movie, which I think is a hard line to do. There's not a lot of movies that can do it. Sometimes it gets a little mishmash, particularly when you have it in the modern setting, because those directors clearly are not as used to it because there are not as many movies made of those things. Classic Hollywood directors are more able to do that. Now, George C. Wolfe is more known as a theater director than he is as a movie director. He's done certain movies and so forth, but he's really not that well known in the film world, and he's more known in the theater. But it's interesting, he's able to balance both very well. It feels like he understands what he's doing as a filmmaker, but also understands the traditions of theater, which I think really helps this, because you see, particularly a lot of these actors, they are very much doing theater performances and doing a play. Like in real life, they wouldn't talk this way in a recording session. I'm sure they would have done it and gone about their day and so forth. It wouldn't actually be like that, but obviously they want it heightened and discuss certain things, and there's a grand tradition and so forth. I've heard some people who have seen Ma Rainey on the stage felt that it felt more naturalistic on the stage than this did. I felt it was, but I didn't see the stage play, so I can't really make any sort of assumption there. But I was really captivated by it. It was like, it immediately draws your attention in, which is something you would think for, just kind of capturing a play on cinema, you wouldn't really expect. So I think George C. Wolfe brought kind of an immediacy to it that I don't think a lot of directors could, because he understands theater very well. But I think with anything like this, it's really mainly about the acting. Chadwick Boseman gives a really amazing performance as Levy. He has a certain energy, a naivete, an anger to this character who really feels like he's going to be a success no matter what. He just feels like it's going to happen. He buys new shoes that are expensive because he's so confident he's going to be this like big star and have his own band and everything like that. It's obnoxious, but for everyone else in the band, frankly. But Chadwick Boseman plays that with such a presence to it. It's like you love him, you love his energy, but you can also totally see why everyone else, who are particularly like older, the juxtaposition of them to him is pretty dramatic. He has just such a life to it that you want to sort of follow that energy, but you also get why totally everyone who's older hates him. Viola Davis, I think also we really should be talking about her as well. I mean, she was nominated for Best Actress at press time. They have not given out the awards yet, but she is really amazing in this. I think when you hear the name Viola Davis, you expect a certain kind of presence to her. She's a great actress, but I never doubted her, really. You expect a certain presence from her, and this is not really that at all, and she's amazing. Ma Rainey was a real jazz singer in the 1920s. The band is sort of loosely, but I'm not 100% how real that was. It seems like some people are like they were loosely based or so forth. I'm not 100% on that, but I know she was a real person. Viola Davis gives such a presence to her. I actually want Viola Davis to do more different roles like this, because she doesn't look like she's ever looked in any movie before, but she doesn't act like or feel like what she's ever played before, and I really liked the energy she brought to it. She felt like a famous singer who wouldn't take anybody's guff. And also Coleman Domingo, I think, was really amazing. He kept saying this thing, he was, before the band would play, it's like a 1, a 2, you know what to do. And I was like, I haven't recorded music with anyone other than myself in a while, but if I ever do, I sort of just want to do that because he has such a good, I would say the way he delivered that line had such a, he put a lot of pleasure into saying it, but it was almost like kind of an everyday kind of trigger kind of saying that you would say to like get you in the mood for something. And he does that so well, but I also just think he is a great actor, and him playing off of Chadwick Boseman. I think the other thing is Chadwick Boseman had veteran actors in that band to play off of. As much as acting is about a singular actor and their performance, you have to have great people to act off of. This is a crazy good cast. Like, they are all very well trained, really great actors. Everyone in that band has a lengthy, huge career on stage and screen and knows exactly what they're doing and knows how to play off him giving a powerhouse performance correctly, and it kind of amplifies what he's doing because they're so good. These are the kind of actors you want in a film like this because they know exactly every movement they need to do. This film can be surprising. It has, I'd say, very killer statements in it that really stick with you. And I enjoyed Fences. I thought it was a good film. I think this makes me more excited to see more August Wilson. I can see like why he sort of exploded after this as a playwright, and I can totally see it because you kind of want to see more after this. The fact that it's able to capture a play so well in a movie in this day and age where you feel like there aren't directors who have those kind of influences in their wheelhouse. I think George C. Wolfe is kind of merging two generations in a way that most directors aren't really trying to do and maybe don't even want to do, but he brings it in a way that feels sort of like natural. I'd almost like to see him do more of these. He just felt so perfect at it. He was also able to direct some amazing performances in this. It really did feel like they knew all of their lines, like they were going to be on stage in that perfect, like well-trained theater actor way. Like you've never seen Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman has always felt like an amazingly well-trained actor, and I think seeing a very well-trained actor in a theater production is a marvel in and of itself. So letting him be able to do like the most actorly kind of actor thing as his final performance is, I think, an amazing kind of tribute to him, really. This is a fantastic movie. If you're not used to kind of theater, if you don't see a lot of plays or aren't used to that kind of tradition, this might be a little different of a watch, but I still think like the direction is an easier way to get in. I think this is probably an easier entry than Fences. It was also, how he was introduced, so I guess it is the correct way, I guess, to most people, even though there was a play before this. I forget which one, sorry. I think this film is greatly timed for this era, but also I think it shows you the traditions of jazz, it shows you the traditions of theater, and it shows you a performance for someone and the ghosts of people from the past screaming out and telling you their honesty in a way that I think great art often does. So if you have seen Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.